My name is Grace Bommarito, and I'm a fourth-year resident at Trinity Health Oakland. My study is investigating sex education and participants' perception of adequacy. In the U.S., only 30 states require sex education in schools, and only 22 states require sex education that encompasses medically accurate information. There are real-life consequences to not talking about sex with our youth, such as unplanned pregnancies and STIs. Discussing a wide range of topics such as bodily autonomy, consent, healthy relationships and communication, body image, and gender identity can help young people build a knowledge base and skill set to confidently make their own sexual healthcare decisions and safely navigate sexual relationships. From 1982 until 2023, $2 billion have been spent on abstinence-only sex education by the federal government. Studies have demonstrated that abstinence-only sex education has not been shown to decrease teenage pregnancy or STI rates. It also shames people for sexual feelings, excludes those who do not fall under the heteronormative umbrella, and withholds important, even life-saving information. The purpose of our study was to gather data regarding content and adequacy of participants' previous sex education. We wanted to know what they learned about and what they wish they learned about. We also wanted to know whether they felt prepared to handle situations involving sex and relationships in adulthood, and if they felt safe and confident in making those important decisions. We also wanted to determine areas of sex education that are lacking, whether that be entire subject areas that were missing or areas that were talked about but done so inadequately. Our hypothesis is that participants whose sex education was inclusive of more preferences, ideologies, and topics would report that they felt more prepared for life experiences than those whose educational experience was more limited. This was done via an anonymous online survey that covered the topics of demographics, sexual history, obstetric history, sexual health care, prior sex education, and sexual health literacy. Inclusion criteria was being 18 years or above, and exclusion criteria was being unable to consent. In order to encourage comfort in answering questions with as much honesty as possible, no identifying data was collected. When we look at the demographics data that we received, there was a diverse array of level of education, religious affiliations, and household incomes represented. However, other demographic data was much less diverse. This survey was posted around our hospital and some of our affiliated clinics and was also shared on social media platforms. The majority of participants were noted to be living in the Oakland and Macomb County areas. Also, the vast majority of participants who took this survey identified as straight Caucasian females between the ages of 25 and 39. So while this survey has some interesting and hopefully useful information, it is important to remember that it has been gathered largely from this lens and very well may not be representative of the experiences of those who identify otherwise. In regards to curriculum that was covered during formal sex education, the majority of participants reported learning about pregnancy prevention, STI prevention, and abstinence. Fewer reported learning about period health, contraception, and healthy relationships, and even fewer reported learning about abortion, consent, and diverse sexual behaviors and identities. 60% reported that they received their formal sex education during middle school, and 60% reported such in high school. 35% reported formal sex ed in elementary school, and a small percentage reported learning in church or community programs. They were also asked where else they learned about sex and relationships outside of their formal sex education. 87% reported learning from their peers, and 61% reported learning from pop culture. 42% reported learning from family. However, it is important to note that 78% of these participants reported that they did not feel comfortable talking to their parents or guardians about sex. 37% reported learning from social media, and 33% reported online resources such as Planned Parenthood and the CDC. 84% reported formal sex education at some point in time. Despite the variety of different settings in which participants' sex education occurred, 75% reported they did not feel as though it was adequate to prepare them for their life experiences. Knowing that 84% of participants received formal sex education in some form is very encouraging, but knowing that 3/4 of them felt like it was insufficient shows that significant work still needs to be done. The current sex education in the U.S. is doing a disservice to our young people who deserve so much better. Accurate, honest, and applicable information regarding sex is essential for them to having control over their futures, and it is essential to advocate for these things to be taught in schools in a medically accurate and inclusive way.